Welcome to another JK Adventure video. This video will cover the installation of an Advanced Adapters Atlas II transfer case into the JK Adventure two-door Jeep Wrangler JK named Rockin' JK. Here are a few shots of the transfer case as it came out of the box. The first step in prepping the case for installation is to install the side tube that enables you to check the level of the fluid. Loctite is applied to the fitting and then it is installed on the case. Next, I poured in the 2 quarts of fluid that were included with the transfer case. Now the fitting for the other end of the side tube can be installed. And then the side tube. Here I rotated the case to show how the fluid is seen through the clear tube. The bolts holding the shifting block are installed with RTV to avoid leakage. Make sure everything is bolted down tight. This rod is bottomed out in the hole shown and the lock nut is tightened. The sleeve is then placed over the rod, and the bracket is bolted to the end of the rod. The shifter cables are then fed through the bracket and the lock nuts are threaded into the cables. For the JK, this adapter is required to increase the clearance for the shift cable. Thread it onto the cable and then thread the adapter onto the shifters as shown. On the other side, the shift cable is attached as shown. Check the adjustment and tighten down the lock nuts. The shift rods need to be pulled out prior to doing this. The threaded studs have 4 options depending on how much you want the transfer case to be canted when installed in the vehicle. I used the positions recommended in the installation instructions and it worked out great. The more canted the case is, the lower the drive shaft angle. I would get the studs close with an impact and then finish it off by hand. Here is a shot with all 6 installed. Install the switch as shown. And the other switch. To remove the center console, first remove the indicated screw on each side. Then remove this screw on both sides. Removing the center console is a real pain. The emergency brake needs to be pulled all the way up, trust me. Remove these 3 nuts holding the shifter. Remove the 3 shown bolts to remove the transfer case shift cable bracket. Once the cable is cut, this will come right out. Here is a shot of where the stock cable comes through the floorboard. The rubber grommet will be used again. Now you can remove the shifter. Here is an electrical connector which must be disconnected from the stock transfer case. The stock connector gets cut off and the supplied connector wired in. Here is the wire which gets attached to one of the fuses in the fuse panel. Here is the shot of the transfer case bolted into position. A zip tie is used on the side tube to indicate the full position. Attach the wiring harnesses as indicated in the supplemental instructions. Here is a shot of the routing of the shifter cables. The shifter arms then get mounted in the new shifter housing. Back inside the Jeep, lock nuts get installed on the shifter cables, and the tubes with the owl-looking bracket get installed into the cables. Thread the fittings onto the cables and tighten them down. A few of the mounting studs used on the stock shift housing need to be trimmed as indicated in the instructions. Washers then get placed on this mounting stud. As you can see in this pic, one of the washers need to be modified to clear the new shifter housing. Now fit the cables into the new shift housing and install the screws which will hold them to the housing. Also install the screws which attach the cables to the shifters. The shifter housing can now be bolted down. Reinstall the center console and lower dash plate. Use the screws previously removed. Here is a shot of the center console after installation with the dual shifters. Install the shift arm extensions using the 2 screws on each. Now install the shift knobs on each lever and tighten down the lock nuts. That's it! Here are a few shots of how everything looks. As you can see here, the amount of cant in the case worked out perfect. For information how this transfer case is working out and other interesting videos and information, keep an eye on jkadventure.com for follow-up articles and videos. Thanks for watching.